I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Appreciate everybody coming out. It's like a little more of a full house than usual. That's great. Everybody get a chance to review the agenda and consent agenda? I move that we approve the agenda and consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 3.1, anybody from the audience? No? All right. 3.2, all similar. You guys, first. Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay, update on where we are, the academic areas. So basically the academic, when I'm talking about that, this area right through here. Finishing up on ceiling work, lights are being installed, getting those burning, burning heat zone in that area, which is great. Working on final painting, working on carpet, ceramic tile, epoxy flooring, working to complete casework and millwork in that area, doors and hardware. So we're really finishing up here in the next few weeks in that area. We're planning on starting punch lists late this month so we can punch those areas out and take care of any touch-up items. And then we're going to lock the doors to those areas to keep them clean, keep people out of them. So we'll have one key that Bradshaw will have. So he's the only one. So you got to go through him to get into those areas once we get that. So the academic areas are coming along nicely. Admin areas, which basically this is the admin wing right through here. Drywall work's complete. Started prime painting those areas last week. Starting ceiling grid installation this week. That'll be followed by lights and diffusers. Is being delivered next week. So we'll start getting that in. So it's moving along. The Commons and Media Center, which kind of completes the loop right here. Starting to hang drywall in there, and we'll start taping and finishing here in the next couple of weeks. There's quite a bit of drywall work in that area. I've got some pictures. It's framed. It's wide open, but there's a lot of soffit work and some detail work there. So we'll be working on drywall for the next few weeks in that area. Wrapping up above ceiling rough-in. Casework and millwork for that area has been ordered. It'll be here in about 6 weeks, I believe. There's some specialty wood ceilings and wall panels that we had to get the walls framed so we could field measure and release those. There's 8-week lead time, so that stuff's been ordered. The gymnasium. We've been working the past couple of weeks to get the underside of the roof structure painted. The bar joist to the deck, all the duct work, any conduit, any sprinkler pipe, everything gets painted so it kind of just goes away. Working on finishing that up this week. We've got the handrail around the track installed. The gym equipment, all the basketball goals, volleyball goals, etc. is shipping this week, and we're going to start installing that next week. There's about 4 weeks of gym equipment install. Once that is in, we'll start the gym flooring, the wood flooring, probably in mid to late February. And also the skyfold door, overhead door that separates the two gyms, that's being delivered in late February, so that'll be going in. Other areas, pool, locker room areas, working on above ceiling rough in and all the locker rooms hopefully will be complete late this month or early February. We've started some painting in the walls in these areas. The locker rooms have a lot of open to structure type ceilings, so once the rough is done, we'll paint the ceilings. typical locker room finishes. There's some ceramic tile, but once things are painted, it's a matter of plumbing fixtures and lockers, benches, and all that stuff. So, kitchen, got the MEP rough and above ceiling complete. Working on completing all the interior framing. There's a lot of soffits in the kitchen and scramble area. And we should start drywall work in that area next week. Right now, kitchen equipment installation scheduled to start in late February or early March, and there's probably 6 to 8 weeks for the kitchen. There's a lot of equipment. By the time you get it installed, hooked up, adjusted, and tested, it's a long process. Auditorium, masonry, partition walls, we should be complete this week or next with those. Going to start above ceiling rough in that area later this month. We've been working over the past few weeks on all the catwalks that go around over the stage, and also all the support structure for the tension grid system that will ultimately go in the auditorium. So, site work, not a tremendous amounts happened on site the last month, but we are continuing interior finish work on concession stands. The bleachers on the home side are complete. We're continuing with some fencing, and we're working on, there's some segmental block retaining walls at the student entry of the main building, so we're working on that. We can work on that through the weather. So that's pretty much where we're at. I think we're tracking along pretty well still. So any questions?
All right, give a little.
Yep.
Okay, Pat's presentation, in my opinion, is somewhat understated because as we have finishes coming in, we've got a myriad of things coming together right now. That Pat gets to, as he says, lock off portions of the building and they're done. Unfortunately, we're not. We've got fixtures, furniture, and equipment that are be coming, and we're going to be stocking the school here this spring. Dan Wessel's going to have his IT people wiring the building and getting IT, telecom things installed, programmed, and so forth. So there's still a lot of activity happening in the school this spring as we go through this. We're hoping to be in front of you folks a month from now with permission to let the fixtures, furniture, and equipment bidding that will bid in March, or we will hope to have results a month later. So that's what's coming up from Hollis and Miller to the school district. Also, at the end of this week, we're going to be completing the design development phase of the middle school remodel in the high school building. We're working with Carrie's group. They'll be seeing those documents this week, and Pat's group will be working on updating the cost estimate for that project. And we hope to have that. We will have that complete first part of March, and we'll be back first part of March with permission to go out to bid for that time. So we're finishing up in high school, and we're just getting started on bidding the middle school remodel and getting that ready to roll as soon as Steve and his folks get out of the school. Pat and his folks are getting into the school to start building. So high school's got a lot of things coming together, and at the same time, middle school is right behind it. So he gets the finished parts, but we're still a lot going on.
Pictures? Yeah, pictures, yeah, no, go ahead.
And Larry jumped in on photos. This is the home side bleachers, so it's all the way up. I think pretty much this is the far end of them. So quite a bit. I'm not sure of the seating for that. It's fairly large. I think I had those numbers one time.
I think there's 1,700 on that side, I believe.
That's the tennis court / baseball concession stand. It's pretty much wrapping up on the exterior, so we're getting started on interior finishes. not a tremendous amount of interior finishes on the concession stands, but still needs to be done. But that's, these are the retaining walls I was talking about coming around by the student entry. There's a student entry facing west.
That's the bus loading area for the high school there. Kids will get out, walk to the right, and then go in the building. Up top there is students that enter there, students from the parking lot will enter there.
This is a portion of the catwalk in the auditorium, and this guy's welding handrail on now. But it's a lot of work to put all this catwalk structure up, so we're finally getting to the tail end of it. This is data cabling just for one portion of the building, so a very small portion actually, so it looks like a spaghetti boil gone bad, but the electricians have a handle on where every one of those wires go. I'm sure Dan does too, so. This is in the commons area looking north. So you can see the framing in the background. We'll start to hang the sheetrock on that here this next couple of weeks, within the next couple of weeks.
So that's the main stair here, right here.
Yeah.
Shadow and laser point. Right here coming from the front door.
Oh, Brandon.
There's going to be a lot of wood trim in that space. It is going to be a very highly finished space. Very attractive.
Another view of the same space looking south. So we're starting the drywall work. You can see the drywall going on in the background, but this area is wide open. Gymnasium, kind of hard to tell, but the painting's complete on the roof structure, and this soffit area here is where the skyfold will be installed here.
So if you walked in from the commons area, this is what you'd see. You're looking north.
Looking north, and you can see the handrail in the background. Guys finishing up painting, kind of get a scale of the bar joist steel up there, but that's at Sky. So this is down in the locker room area. As you can see, we've started some block filling on the walls, getting ready to paint. Got work and rough edge going on there.
That's also the storm shelter there.
Yep. This is down the administrative corridor looking west towards the front entry. Walls are painted, getting ready to start ceiling grid.
And then those windows there on the left will look into the courtyard.
Another corridor. This is one of the think tanks, solid surface countertops on those going in. Ceiling grids in, we're hanging lights and diffusers in that area, paints on the walls. Here's another corridor in the academic wing, a little more finished, hanging doors. Polished concrete floors are done. We put the masonite protection board over those, keep getting scratched up. These walls that are just white actually get wall covering. Probably going to start that this week. We need to be real careful on wall covering because it's obviously pretty tender stuff. So this area is getting to the point it's time to get the wall covering.
And the unique thing about this high school corridor is that there's no lockers.
Here's kind of looking into a classroom from a corridor. Doors are hung, carpet tiles down, glass is going in the sidelights, hardware's up, ceilings are complete.
Door in the corner.
This is inside a science room. This is a fume hood looking into a chemistry lab. So the fume hoods are going in, getting hooked up. Resinous flooring. I think you've probably seen it. Epoxy resinous flooring goes. A lot of times, this is a science room. That way, if anything gets spilled, it's contained on that epoxy flooring. And the base turns up the cabinets, turns up the walls. So if a chemical's spilled, it's pretty much trapped in
And that picture belies, it's really, it's very smooth material.
Yeah, well, and they're not quite done there. They got another coat of epoxy, so it's not that bad. Another photo of a typical classroom. Painting's done, ceilings, lights, need wall base. There, yep. It's coming on. Another classroom. That particular classroom has a marker board on the wall. The next one, show you. This one, this is actually this section of wall, and that's probably only a third of it. It gets the marker board paint, and Larry and Meg have been out there coloring all over my sample marker board, so I think everybody's good with it.
So, yeah, you see a couple of features here on the, right above the workman there, you'll see the charging shelf that we have in each classroom. We've strategically placed it kind of high. We've reinforced it very well so that people who aren't supposed to put heavy things or sit on it, it will still stay up. So
As I understand it, Larry, you're going to stand on each one to make sure that.
that's how I've tested
I
it.
think it's been right.
He gets a bonus for that.
Yeah.
I think that's it on photo.
In the back there in the corner, you'll see this grill, and that's, you know, I've mentioned this more times than one. You guys are probably just tired of me mentioning this, but this is our horizontal air supply system where we supply air low, and that way we have less of a requirement for fresh air, and that's a system you don't typically see in school buildings. In school buildings.
You
That's all the pictures back.
Yeah, you guys said that there's some 6 to 8 week lead times on things. I know pretty soon we're gonna run out of those 6 to 8 week frames to fit things into. Is there anything that's critical path that's a red flag issue that might slide any of these?
Not at this point, no. I mean, we're trying, I think, you know, it's been a long process getting some things approved and colors picked and things like that, but I think we're to that point, so we can just, we're kind of just ordering stuff. But the tricky thing is you don't want it there too soon, but you obviously don't want it there too late. It's got to be there right on time, so we try and stay in close contact with our subcontractors and directly with their vendors and manufacturers a lot of times to be sure we're getting the story on some of the lead time on it. So, but no, there's nothing that I know of right now that's alarming. Pretty good shape there.
Oh, and one other thing, another feature I forgot to mention, our classrooms, our typical classrooms, we have big windows. Lots of natural light coming.
So are the rooms that are on usually at night that when you drive by, are those, you'll see more sections done? Are those the ones that you're talking about locking down?
Yes,
Okay.
those are the ones which you're seeing
Right.
with carpet in.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll lock those down. We'll probably punch the classrooms, the rooms first, and then the corridors, because there's still some traffic through the corridors. So if you can get the rooms done, follow that up with the corridors. And then we can actually, there's areas of the building, we can actually lock that whole, area of the building once we get to a certain point.
Remind me again on the middle school renovation, how long will that take once you get in there and get going? Someone asked me.
The plan is there to get bid documents in March, bid it 1st of March, bid it 1st of April. And then we need to start just as soon as school's out to be complete by winter break, by that winter break. So that gives us some time to get some of the steel is going to be a long lead time item that we need to get released, so it's there, so we can construct the addition go up right away.
So students will be in there at winter break then? Or
That's
right
the
after?
plan.
That's the
Okay,
plan.
I couldn't
That's the
remember
plan.
what the time frame was.
So earlier I was talking about this. It's going to be like, we're going to be working very closely here this next fall. So.
Sounds
Any other questions? Thank you, guys.
bet.
Appreciate it. Nice job. 3.3, debate over banning books.
This is another part of our educational series for the board. And Kerry Brungard, kudos to him. He jumped up and volunteered to do the very next one. I think Ms. Bishop didn't get much say in that, but we're very happy to have them, and I think the board will enjoy as well as the rest of the audience. Carrie, did you want to say anything?
The only thing I want to say is when I went into the classroom, this is a Common Core activity at its finest. And I hope you get that flavor tonight. It's really making kids think, and Mrs. Bishop did a phenomenal job. She's a very, very good teacher. And these are tremendous kids too. So I hope you enjoy it.
First of all, I've got to give a little disclaimer. Thank you. The disclaimer is this. These kids don't know what they're fighting for, first of all. They brought both sides of an argument. We talk all the time in class about the fact that they don't necessarily have to believe what they're fighting for. They just have to be able to do what? What is it? To prove it, exactly. So whatever they say today is to get their point across. It may not necessarily be their specific beliefs, so that's my first disclaimer. In class, we usually have a group of 30, give or take. So sometimes we've done this with just splitting the class in half and have one side go against another side, which is what we're going to do today. We've also done situations where we have 5 different groups. And I think that's the one that Mr. Brungart said, that he came in and witnessed. And in that situation, these kids don't know it, but I strategically place them in those groups and give them their specific questions, kind of based on where I feel their learning levels are. And they may have figured that out or may not have figured that out, but they don't talk about it, so that's the good part. We're all a little nervous, so we may have be a little jittery at first, but hopefully they're just gonna focus on me and I'm just gonna focus on them and everyone gets to watch. As Mr. Brungart said, it shouldn't be them that should be nervous, it should be all me, so. But it is a very student-led type of class and they know that, so hopefully we'll get into that. They are really good arguers and they do a really good job of arguing for things, even things they don't believe in. They'll tell you that back in October, many of them even argued for school uniforms and had some really good arguments. So you'll definitely get to see some good arguments here today. So this side is going to be for banning books. So you want books to be banned. And I always get those looks. It's a yes or a I didn't want that one. So we'll put the 4 over here, and you, of course, are against. They are working for points here. That's my incentive for them. So they get new rules each time. We don't really run a debate the same way each time. So I'm going to give them their rules, and then we'll just get started. Okay? So I'm not going to do timed, guys. We're not going to do shouting or anything like that. But you don't get to interrupt, but you get to combat every single point made. So let's say Celeste makes a point. Anybody on her team can add to that point, and I may give you points along the way, I may not, and you know how that goes. After whoever, Celeste or any of them, make their points or additional points, then you guys can combat, and then you guys get a start. Okay? Anytime in between, I can ask you some leading questions also, that of course you can get points from that. Okay? You guys good? Okay. So, let's go this side first, since Celeste looked like she wanted that side. Do you have a question already, Dana? We have time to speak. I'm going to make that judgment as we go. Okay? You good with that? Okay. All right. So I'll have you guys. Let's go ahead and give you a minute now. You guys go ahead and discuss for a minute who you want to go first and any. preliminary arguments you want to make. Don't try and jump into your good stuff first, okay? Don't use all your good stuff first. Exactly.
There's a high school teacher like this.
Okay, up, good, let's go. Okay, who's first? Mr. Ryan? Okay, hey, no talking until they're done. Okay, and then as soon as that, and then we'll just do the raising hand. As soon as you're ready to, as soon as I say, okay, we're ready to go, we're ready to combat, then I'll let you guys go. Okay, go, Ryan.
Okay, there's one major good thing about banning books, and that stops sexual content in books. Take 50 Shades of Grey, for example.
Way to start.
A little kid might accidentally pick it up and think, oh, this is a good book to read, not knowing what's actually in it.
Any ads? To that specific point.
Like books, a lot of books now these days, a lot of them have curse words in them, and they have like negative kind of aspects to them that like some of them encourage like different kinds of lifestyles, like criminal-based kind of things, and a lot of them have a lot of violence in them.
Okay.
Also, schools, for one thing, like always say like, no drugs, no like doing violence, and like a lot of things like it happens in it, and sometimes like she said, it can be encouraged. And like if we're banning it from schools, schools go against like a lot of things that happen in books in the first place.
So it's supporting what the school says,
And
what the school stands by.
Yeah, oh,
Banning those books
Yeah.
is supporting that. Okay, I'll go for your, we'll do combat.
I want to first of all address the point Ryan made. I think with the standards we already have set as a school and throughout all our schools, I don't think that for any reason 50 Shades of Grey would be on a bookshelf in a classroom or anything of that content. And second of all, you said that, you know, they lead different lifestyles, and you can't really.
She did say criminal. I don't know if you heard that part.
Yeah, I heard
Okay.
that.
You can add, you can interrupt your own team and add to your own team.
Sorry. You said something about, you know, crime and drugs and school violence. Well, that's life. It's happening right now all across the country, all across the world. And so for, you know, it not being in a book, if a child picks up a book and reads that, you know, they're just learning more about what's happening every day of our lives. Every day that they wake up and there's something new, and there's crime rates going up, and there's money, and there's
So maybe, and I'll get to you, Celeste, so isn't that happening because these books are out there giving people ideas? Celeste, go.
said like it's life, you know, kids pick up books, they're gonna learn it anyway. Yes, but they don't need to learn it at such a young age. You learn things later in life. It's good to be like ignorant when you're younger.
Go.
Is it good to learn them later on in life when you're down in the dirt and saying, oh, well, I just lost my job. Well, maybe if I had read this book about Wall Street earlier, or about the stock markets earlier, or, oh no, now we're getting ready to go to war with ISIS. Well, what if I was a little more prepared and had read these books at a younger age, and maybe
Okay.
not in like elementary school, but.
And I'm going to get to Kyle. Is there a theme there? So what's the theme there that you're, if you would have learned that at an early age, you learned that early on, what's your theme?
That you wouldn't have so many problems in the future, that you would learn things before they happen, and that anything that happens later on in life, you would already know is wrong. If you learn that at a young age, you will understand that by the time you're an adult.
Okay, Kyle.
Well, if you want to ban books, they say what happens out in real life on the news. So you'd also have to ban the news, which would be much harder, because that would violate your freedom of speech.
question.
Well, with Dylan, I don't see you reading a book about Wall Street or fighting crime against ISIS as much as like Molly or Heidi or Kyle. So that saying that they're just going to learn at a younger age doesn't really prove your point, because you're just saying that if they're going to read it now, so might as well. But a lot of kids our age don't read books about Wall Street.
Ryan.
Two things. One, about half the people I know, honestly, if they see a book that's over 100 pages long, they won't read it at all. So it'll be like too long and just won't read it. And like, how many people actually learn anything from a book? Like, there are some people that do actually take into consideration what it does. But most people are just like fed pictures and little words, and I get points for it and get good school grade. So they'll do it. Like, hardly anyone.
Isabel.
You said that if they have a thick cover or many pages, many people wouldn't want to read it. But most people now have them on a Kindle or any type of electronic device where they don't really see the pages. They don't see how much they're actually reading. And by doing that, they'll actually start scrolling more and reading more than they usually do in a book.
Heidi.
So are you saying that we should ban literary classics like The Catcher in the Rye, The Scarlet Letter, Huckleberry Finn, Harry Potter, The Diary of Anne Frank, Animal Farm, To Kill a Mockingjay, and The Da Vinci Code, and The Grapes of Wrath? So you're saying that we should get rid of those literary classics because they have violence in them, or they have something that's portraying something bad, like
They're too long.
reading books, saw Harry Potter. First of all, that could be an example of witchcraft, which is very bad and like Satanist kind of thing. So, and like a lot of the books, they have kind of a bad, like, they're not like age appropriate.
Okay, so we've covered the age appropriateness. Somebody, and I think it was Kyle, said something about the media, right? Okay, give me that again, and then we'll get.
Well, I said that
That we'd have to ban the media, right?
yeah, which
Okay.
would violate freedom of speech, because we have the right to go in and learn knowledge. What we choose to do with that knowledge, though, is our own.
Okay, come back, and then I want to bring up something.
Well, they're also branding books, not the news though. So you can't say, oh, I'm hearing this, so it's different than, oh, I'm reading this here, but I'm hearing it here. So you can't kind of band both together. You have to go, we're banning books and we're banning social media, news and all that.
Okay, add.
And also, we're talking about in school, not out of school. So, like, you also have to think about that. Like, sure, you can go to a public library, like, obviously, but we're talking about in school.
Okay, and I'm going to interrupt you, and I know I hate to do that, but in school, do you know historically anything, and think back, and I know we haven't studied it, but what we're going to study this week, was there anything historically that was taught in school? Go. Are you going to answer that, my question? Or are you going to?
Before, because
Oh, I don't want you to do that. I want you to think historically, if, and you can debate either side, so I want to see, because I feel like both of you want to debate. So are you going to go with my question?
Mm-hmm.
Kyle?
Well, a historical problem was Nazi Germany, because they took and started banning books that had to do nothing with what they believed in, and that caused chaos all over Germany. And eventually led to World War II.
Add?
You said it, it led to World War II because Hitler, this supreme leader or dictator of Nazi Germany, didn't want anybody to be as smart as him or to be as good as him. So he took away the one thing that gives people a lot of knowledge, which is books. And without any of the books, that's like saying, you guys are saying, oh, there's violence and stuff. Okay, but when you look at textbooks, they go back and look at all these wars and all the deaths and everything. Now, it may not go into description, but then by saying, oh, well, there's a war in there, you gotta take it out. That's like saying,
I don't mind to cut you off about the World War II, but we're also learning about Pompeii, and most kids or teenagers don't really go to the media for things that happened a long time ago. They would want to learn stuff now. Maybe go visit there, maybe even learn some things. You can't just do that in media, like you do in a book.
Okay, you talk about like textbooks and wars and like battles, but that's history. It's not made up fiction that authors write to in like, yeah.
So again, with the textbooks, they're there already. We can look at them and go, oh, people did this and this happened. Do we have time to listen to that? Sometimes not. Sometimes we do. So just saying we have it there so we can learn from it isn't always true. Because people could do the same thing and have the same result.
So, and let me ask this of this group. So, what if they never got the idea in the beginning? Think about that for a second. So we have books out there, and I know Heidi named some books that we've read, The Giver that we just got finished with, that is banned in some schools. Why would that be banned, and why do you guys think it should be banned? I'm starting over here.
So it's like you can give people hope and ideas, kind of like in the Hunger Games, how like she was the symbol of hope, but here the books can be symbols of hope for giving people new ideas. So then they want to kind of rebel against their government and kind of like change the things are.
I feel like David really wants to say something here. And let me, I'm actually going to go over there because there's a lot of enthusiasm in there. So I need more enthusiasm over here. Dalen, go. And then I'll come back over here. Go,
Well,
Dalen,
okay,
go.
why ban hope? That's just saying, oh, well, what happened? The attack in France, for example, it just happened January 7th of this year. All those French people, they just recently, they just had huge march and hope for all those lives that were lost and the ones that are injured and everybody that was affected. They're stepping up and they're saying, look, ISIS, we're not just going to let you do this. We're not just going to let you take over us. They're using that hope to change the way things are.
Okay, so back to the giver thing, like schools are banning the givers because schools are a place where diversity should be encouraged. They don't want to encourage similarity and things like that.
Okay, keep going.
They want to.
All of you keep going. Why else would they be banning The Giver? Why should we ban The Giver? Why should we never read The Giver again? It's awful. Why? There's other movies and books out there exactly like it. Hunger Games and Divergent, and why do we need to get rid of that?
To keep the peace, because The Giver is all about peace and everything, so everything's the same, so no one can be different.
And why do we want everything the same? We don't want any differences. Why?
Well, I don't know, but there's, I'd say, like a lot of the books nowadays, or not books, like movies and type thing, like the Divergent, the Hunger Games, they all have that basis of like teenagers versus adults type society.
And we don't want that?
No.
Isabel.
The point of The Giver and Divergent is to not be the same. That's the point of the story, to not be alike and not follow the rules that...
And why is that good?
Because you have to be yourself. And if you're not yourself, then you're not thinking for yourself, and you're having the government control you. Having the government control you is very bad because the government can do very bad things with the country. They make bad choices. They might, and as you said, they might go to war. Many things can happen because other people have opinions. Having an opinion helps you out in the economy and in society.
Go.
Can I,
Yes.
You were saying, you know, it's basically teenagers versus adults. Okay, well, these teens, not only are they, yeah, maybe they have that little rebellious spirit in them, but you have to think that these teenagers and these bases in the book, that they're not only fighting for the now, they're fighting for the future, because they're going to be the ones that step up and take over the country from the elders and whatnot. So they're fighting for the future and for the future of their kids, and not only just...
Think about like Hunger Games, like they're doing it, they're killing each other. Okay, so that's not good. You don't want to encourage like the teenagers going around killing each other, permitting violence to get what they want.
And yeah, like what she's saying, you don't want people to kill people just to keep peace. There's other ways to keep peace, not just like you could go you and you go fight to the death and we'll keep the peace like that way. No, that doesn't work.
Let's get off violence. Kyle?
Well, I think the reason they wrote those books was because to show, like, for Nazi Germany again, they fought back against the Nazis because they're not just going to let the Nazis rule their life. that could have been the point of it. I mean, like Tolkien wrote wrote Lord of the Rings because that's how he viewed the Nazis. That was a historic book, pretty much.
Okay, Dalen?
Okay, you're saying that basically the Hunger Games and Divergent, they're wanting people to go out and kill each other. That's not the point of it. The point is, Hunger Games, for example, Katniss, she goes out there, she's forced out there because she wants to save her sister. She doesn't want her sister to have to go through that. But while she's going this, she's starting the rebellion. She's leading the rebellion. She's fighting against this so that they don't have to do
So how's that related to the giver?
because that's what Jonas
Heidi?
That's what Jonas exactly did, because the giver, he saw all the memories that people didn't get to see. He saw the happiness, he saw the pain, and he realized people didn't get to feel this, and that meant that they weren't living. So then he decided, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to release the memories so everyone can live the same. And so he goes out and he leaves so the memories can be released to the community, so the community can be one together and not be just separated and not living a life because they're not having memories and they're not having feelings. So how is that living?
Okay, you can start a new argument if you want.
Okay, well, like, I was gonna say, like, the whole violence thing, but just, like, people kill each other, but that's their choice. They, like, aren't forced. Like, Katniss in the Hunger Games, she could have started a rebellion with everyone else, and they could have not fought each other. They could have just stood there and did nothing. And they didn't fight each other, and they didn't, like, it's like, you have a choice, okay? You're never forced to do anything. You always have a choice between one or two things.
What if you're only taught one way?
Then
Like
you
the
learn your
giver.
mistakes.
like the giver.
Yeah,
They're
like the
all
giver,
taught
one
one way. They're all taught the same thing. They all go through the same.
Where else in history were they only taught one way and they're, yes. Yes. Good, so what if Hitler put out a book? What if Hitler put out? You guys want that book out?
No, that book should not go out.
Why?
He had, in our opinion, he had bad ideas. He wanted to exterminate a whole religion just because he didn't believe in their religion. So that's
Why is that bad?
Because that's just their choice. That they decided to do that. He decided to kill them, murder them.
But
just
ultimately, in the
because-
society that we live in, why do we not want that? Okay. Why should we have that book?
Well, we should not ban books because something
I
like,
want to know that book.
well, because that could start banning other books that weren't as bad. And then we could have a scenario like Fahrenheit 451 where they just went around burning and killing people because of books.
And nobody read that here, but you know about it. Okay, Dalen.
I also saying, if we have to ban that, that's, Nazism or whatever you want to call it. That's almost its own religion in yourself. So you're saying you have to ban that because it goes against your beliefs. Well, there's other people out there that's like the Nazis and stuff. They've been saying, oh, well, if you're going to ban our book, we have to ban all your books, all the books that go along with you. So now from banning this one book, you're taking away all of the books now,
Right.
not just the fictional happy ones. Well,
And that's
you
a-
are taking away the
Right,
fictional
and
happy
Kyle
ones.
made that point. Okay, so let me get us on something else. So back when we were talking about the giver, and I gave you those 5 different questions, we brought up a news story, stories in the news, current events. Okay, so think about that in the relation to the topic we're talking about. So what about the media? Think about can books be related to the media? 1 minute discussion. 1 minute discussion because I want to turn it. Okay. I know it's a hard side, that's why I need you. Sorry.
Done.
You don't need it. Okay, I'm starting over here.
Yeah.
We all know
It's
where
what they
everyone is.
Okay, like,
Because they're one person down. Go.
the media doesn't always give the facts back to fact. They add their own opinions and it's very biased.
Like?
Like books and.
Like what news stories that we've seen recently? Okay.
The Gardner case, all of that. It's very biased and they give their own opinions, leading people on by their own opinions, not by facts.
And how is that related to banning books? Because you want books banned. So how is that related?
Because there's authors and they're biased. Because the authors look at the news and they're biased and they.
Well,
Okay.
Kyle said himself that the book in Lord of the Rings was, the author was relating it to the Nazis in World War II. So that is kind of being biased towards them, however he feels about them. So he's kind of influencing people on their decisions about that and not their own decisions about them.
And historically, have you seen that happen? Where they use books and they use one biased opinion
Yeah.
in order to spread.
Like the Hunger Games and that kind of thing.
And historically, true stories. This is a little hard because we haven't got to this unit yet, and I know Dalen knows and he's not going to fight for this side. Dalen, go.
I was gonna say, you guys, you keep saying, the word bias in there and that authors have bias. You know, everybody has a bias. There's always, you know, everybody has that individualism with their own bias. And no matter who you get it from, what type of media article it is, book, television, computer, it's always gonna be biased. In this world today, it's hard to get the true facts there, because even if you were there and you witnessed it, just the things biased in your head, you look at it will say, oh, well, he attacked him.
So then why shouldn't we ban the things that we know aren't true? Like, let's just get rid of the books that we know aren't true and that are gonna hurt our society. I mean, truly, if people are reading Hitler's books and thinking, oh yeah, this is the way to go, we don't want people to think that, right? So let's just get rid of that stuff, Kyle.
Well, the reason we're not going to do that is because there's going to be those smart people who see those and think, oh, this is a bad idea. And then they could inform people in the future, but if we just don't have that, then those people could become leaders, and then we'd have problems coming back and back. So like the Nazis could rise to power again.
So by learning about those things and still being open to anything that's out there, you're saying, just like, and I know you guys want to talk, and I'm really helping their side for a second here. Just like in our class, when I give you the opportunity to argue back any answers that are incorrect, what does that do for you?
Lets us fight for what we thought, what we believed, what we thought we saw and heard. By reading when we have our multiple choice questions and here's one, like A saying something that sounds like what we think, but then and so then we choose that one, and then when you let us fight back and it wasn't the right one, but it sounded right, and then we fight for why we thought, that lets us,
And
and it helps us overall.
it helps you in your grade get to your goal, and you use the information that you've learned from all sources in order to tie back to it, right? Right.
So Dylan said people attacking people. So you guys are also saying, though, that it's books that are influencing people to make decisions. But if it's people attacking people, then it's the person's conscious decision to attack that person. It's not the book that makes them do it. Again, if the book's about guns, it's not the gun that kills the person. It's the person who makes the conscious decision to do the crime.
Which is kind of their point.
Yeah. So, what we're trying to say is it's not the book that really has anything, it's the person's knowledge and what they choose to do with that knowledge. So it's not the book.
Like, that's the thing, like the bias thing, and if it's bad, then we should just get rid of it. Like, well, when little kids, when they're growing up and they're reading all these books, and they haven't fully like learned what's good and what's not, so they're reading these, and so they form that initial opinion that's in that book, and they don't know any better, so that's what they go on thinking until something is told otherwise.
In language arts, when
I think a good.
in language arts, this is going to make their argument. In language arts, who you talked about propaganda, and who is the group that gets all the elite socks, and goes out with the backpack y'all came back with after Christmas. Max Air, is that what I've been saying, right? Yeah, with Molly. So, if that's the group that listens the most to all the propaganda, all the stuff that's on TV, don't we need to, so that they don't listen to it? Yes. Okay. 1 minute, and then last ditch effort, okay? We're running out of time. 1 minute talk, and we're gonna do 1 minute
Okay.
speed round.
Because I was gonna say a bunch of things, but it would just help them. So,
All this is about the right person. Violence is their fault.
We lost a lot of one-room school outside the gyms, older kids. Yeah.
Okay, sit. You have a chance. Okay. Go. Yes, I'm watching the clock. Go.
Oh, okay. Red Scarf Girl by Jaylee Chang. She grew up in communism China when Chairman Mao was taking over, and he pretty much, what they did was they eliminated everything that went against them. I mean, store names, books, everything. So there was just one source. Now, had they not done that, had there been many other books, had there been many other source signs and whatever, people would have looked at his side and the other side, and they said, well, maybe he's not right, because I'm looking at stuff here. I have two sources. I have a book over here and a book over here. You know, one's for him, one's for whatever else. So you have to have multiple sources. You can't just take away that.
Of course, I give you a point for that because I make you guys have multiple sources constantly. Add one.
Just out of curiosity, who would be able to ban the books? Because if the government does it, people do mature faster than others. So therefore, it's pretty much impossible to ban books because that person who matures much faster to be able to withstand it.
Okay, go.
So, so with Dalen, I guess he's saying that if you have, never mind. Yeah.
Go back to Hitler.
Okay.
And I know, and I try to give you a little bit, but we're at a little disadvantage because we usually hit this after. But the reason that they ban books is kind of the same thing in Red Scarf Girl. You're only trying to get one side. And a lot of times then what they started doing was going into classrooms and promoting that idea, promoting that type of government. And of course, what happened?
They killed 6 million people that were innocent, and they just kind of murdered them.
Yes, and I know you want to give some more, and we can do this all night because it's all about the points. But you guys did a really good job, very good, especially when you didn't have the rest of the questions behind you because they usually do have 20 some other people, and they have multiple other questions that I give them. And we haven't studied a big portion that really could have helped this group out, but they did do a really good job on the spot. One thing that we try and do with this is we pull in social studies, and sometimes we pull in science in order to make their debate stronger. And what this does is they write essays, really we're down to writing essays about once every 2 weeks in terms of testing, and they've been doing it where they couldn't bring in any notes, and they had to look up all their sources and practice this and talk about this. and fight for the essay that they didn't know they were going to get before they walked through the door. So they prepare for 3 different essays, and it could be both sides. And so they prepare for both sides and then are able to fight for that. And like they said, and like we talked about, I let them fight back for their answers on tests too, and it really empowers them and makes them, what they're doing is they're trying to get another point to get to an A, and which is great for them, and that's their incentive. But what they don't realize, but the reason why I do that, of course, is so that they can advocate for themselves, but they back up everything that they're saying with evidence, and that's what all of our classes and assessments are going to, is backing up everything with evidence and proof. Good job, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Well done.
Yeah, it's fun.
Absolutely. There's a lot of smiles on their faces and energy and enthusiasm. All right. 4.1, applications certificate for payment. Get the bulb lighting up or warming up. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? All right. I move that we approve the pay application and certificate for payment as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Section 5, did everybody get an opportunity to read the building, grounds, and equipment reports? Any questions or concerns? Okay. 6, curriculum and instruction. Everybody get an opportunity to read the administrative reports?
Yes.
Are there any questions?
Please, I think I'm able to, what's up?
7.1, $500 high school donation.
I move that we accept the donation for the purposes stated.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. 7.2, the policy, board policy revisions.
This is really thick and rich, lots of revisions, and
82 pages.
I didn't mean to check the action box. I meant for it to be information, give the board time to look through it. There are things in there that we still need to tweak, but I wanted you to see what was recommended by all the attorneys. And then the thing that's we've got to do still is make sure that it's consistent with the negotiated agreement. And a good example of that is their RIF policy. We have some things where we give them, I think, 2 years rather than 1 year and that kind of thing. So I wanted to give it to you as soon as possible, give you time to look at it, to know what's recommended, and then by next month, then we'll bring something that might be actionable. The other thing is, as you read it and have questions or ideas or suggestions, shoot those to me, and then we can kind of maybe not do a debate, but talk about getting a consensus about what we'd like in our policy. So.
7.3, high school curriculum courses.
Well, it's January again. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago that I was up there talking about the courses we were going to add this year, or for this school year. What we have done here at the high school is we're looking at 6 courses that we'd like to talk about this month and have you approve for next school year. 3 of those are language arts classes. The first of which is senior literature and senior composition. What that is we've made some adjustments within our current curriculum. If you remember, the seniors have a lot of choices. The mythology and science fiction, heroes, Okay. What's happened over the last several years is as Common Core and college readiness standards have come into play, we need to adjust those courses. And what these 2 courses are going to do is they're going to take the place of that as I refer to it, the smorgasbord of choices that kids have that will align for college preparation and technical reading and job skill type activities for students as we look at 21st century literacy standards. That's what that class is designed to do. That will be an English credit. There are 2 semesters. We would again offer them both each semester so that if we have those students that want to graduate ahead of time or at semester, they could still do that. We would make sure that we offered them in that manner and keep those things in play that we did in the past. The writing lab, what the writing lab is this is kind of Mrs. Boland's idea, and with lots of input from the rest of the department. As we look at teaching kids to write and write effectively within the AP courses, within their general courses, and also even in the ACT, which has a writing component now. What this would be is this would be an opportunity for some kids that are very strong writers to work as peer mentors for some other students that might struggle or are very good writers and just need to be able to bounce ideas and look at that opportunity. As I was thinking earlier today, it's a nice opportunity for those students that are interested in maybe being an English teacher, getting the opportunity to sit down and do critical analysis of others' writing and get past the critical analysis piece and get to that. These are some of the things you can do and work with kids that may not be their passion, but it's certainly an interest for them. That's what we're looking to do there. And the third course, I go clear back to Linda Lepler years ago, talking to me about we need a creative writing class, and it just never really fit. And I think right now, with the standards being the way they are, this is a great opportunity for us to put in a creative writing class. This would be a supplement. It would be an elective where kids who are interested in writing could do that. It wouldn't tie back to all of the English standards, so it wouldn't be one of their English credits, but it would certainly be an opportunity for them to take something and go with it in an area where they've got an interest.
I have a question about that. It says in there somewhere that they're allowed to take it as many times as they like.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you know how kids are? They find a comfortable little nest and they pick to go back to that teacher over and over again.
I would equate it very similar to like band, where I can take it, but there's an adjustment in curriculum every year, and the teacher would want to work with that individual so that this year we've grown this much, and this year we continue to grow.
I'd be really concerned about that. I mean, it's a great idea. I love the idea. I'm just concerned about some child kind of isolating themselves in this instead of trying something new.
Sure, and that would certainly be something that we would talk with that teacher that. And I see that happening in other areas, like you said, band, or like I said, band. I think that can happen in art classes. I think it can happen, I'll speak for my son, I think it can happen in debate.
Oh, but that's a great place to.
Okay, but you know, and I think you're exactly right. It's all of our job to make sure that they get that broad-based exposure. Some of that will happen simply through the graduation requirements piece, but I think that's a very fair statement to be concerned about, so that's not the only place that they really have the opportunity to shine and really test the waters. I think that's a very fair statement. Any others before we slide past the English? Okay, and then the other area that we're looking at is science. With the introduction a year ago of AP chemistry and 2 years ago of AP biology, one of the things we're finding is it's very difficult, even through differentiation, to be able to meet the needs of all of the kids. Kids who this may not be a passion, they just want to learn the concepts of biology. I'll pick biology, and then to also meet the needs of the student that's their passion, and there they go. Now, historically, we've had the concept of honors classes, and that's one of those terms that the literature is pretty clear on. When you call it honors, it really doesn't mean anything, and there's lots of reasons to call it honors. But when you start tying a curriculum base to it, like AP, then you've got a better set of targets to zero in on and go after. And that's basically what we're doing. We're trying to gear those kids up so that the biology class that they're taking specifically feeds them into an AP biology class, and same thing with the AP chemistry, pre-AP chemistry, fitting them into the AP chemistry. The third course is the capstone class, or the culminating class of the body systems class we added last year, with the students beginning to go out and get some hands-on. Got a lot of kids CPR trained. Some of those standards that are in there we've already addressed. We got several kids through CPR training through this course, and now what we're looking at is taking these the next step of I've got a little bit of knowledge. Now, where do I want to go with that knowledge? And I know Zach, Craig, and Jeff Demetz have had some conversations with some local entities, and we're looking at trying to tie this together with some of the organizations like St. John's, and it would be my hope we can give kids a broad base of not just to be a doctor, but you could be an optometrist or even a mortician, or wherever that fits in the health fields. You can get some exposure, and we can spread kids out 2 weeks here, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks here, so they get a broad base of exposure, and they can kind of say, yeah, these are the things that I want to do, or man, that's not for me. And I think that's a big part of what we can do, especially with the health fields. You think about, I'm going to be a doctor, but there's a lot of types of doctors out there. So, I think if we can kind of get them pointed in a direction, that would be very beneficial. And the standards themselves are very broad. So I think we can meet those. Kids will jump into it, and they'll be excited about it. So, any questions?
How many kids do you think will go for this?
The last one?
Uh-huh.
Right now, it's going to depend, because the feeder class is going to be slid down to the juniors for the most part, because none of the seniors in this year will already move. And the window right now, I'm going to hope 10 to 12, right? This first year, that would be a huge success. But I do see it growing. And when I think about the management model, for those of you who have been around the vocational world for a long time, I would say, I would imagine it to be very similar to the OJT piece, the on-the-job training piece, where you give them basic skills, and they should have those, but then the next step out is going to be going out and observing and touching base and having those conversations. You may see the kid in class one day a week, but you're going to have the opportunities to have discussions with all of these professionals, and I think you'll do a great job in terms of networking, providing valuable resources for us from outside the school, pulling in from the community, and let the community see the things that we're doing in the classroom and how we're preparing kids. So I would, like I said, 6 to 8 would be great. That first year, maybe 10. If we get to a dozen, that'd be really good. Just because of that feeder, we got to grow the feeder program, and we'll only be in year 2 next year.
Do we have enough in the prerequisite class now to meet that?
We do. It's how many of them
Decide to
choose to go to that next step. You know, and then scheduling will be key, making sure that we don't lose a group because of where it falls in the schedule.
Any questions? Perfect, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Move that we approve the 2015-2016 high school curriculum changes as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Perfect. How long is that? 15? I move that we move to executive session to discuss non-elected personnel matters, matters affecting a student, and confidential financial data or trade secrets for business.
How many minutes?
For 15 minutes.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. I just forget that. Move that we accept the resignation of Jackie Smolla as high school science teacher as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
8.3, I move that we approve the appointment of Kelsey Sherman as middle school music teacher as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I move that we approve, 8.4, I move that we approve the supplementals as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
8.5, I move that we approve the 2014-2015 out-of-district students as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Wait, I want to discuss. Okay, this has been a debate that's gone on with us for 4 years, and I know I'm old Lansing. I would like to make the number public. Right now it's at 350. I think what we need to do is sit down and study. There's got to be a sweet spot where we're serving all the kids that we have to the max, and that our out-of-district kids are not working against the kids who live here in town. I'm also very concerned about our being dependent on, every time we need money, we raid Leavenworth for another bunch of kids. And it's working a real hardship on them. And I don't mind working a hardship on grown-ups. I do mind working a hardship on kids. I think we need to study this issue. I know that a lot of districts, they have a flat number. Okay, it's capped, and I don't know how they all arrive at this number, but they have a number that, and if somebody leaves, somebody else gets to come to school. But they don't just open-endedly keep adding students who are out of district. And kids are a blessing, regardless of how we get them. But the bottom line is pretty soon, Lansing High and all the other schools are not Lansing schools. When 1 out of 4, about every 5 kids is from out of district, that's kids' attachment to the community, and more importantly, the parents' attachment to the community is not as strong as if they actually lived here in town and knew everybody. And I don't know, do we do anything to integrate the parents of out-of-district kids into day-to-day life?
The out-of-district students, their parents, in many ways, are much more active in our schools than some of our in-district parents. Yeah. The thing, though, we want to be careful. We lose way over 100 kids to Leavenworth every year.
I know, but we're taking on 350.
Well, those aren't all from Leavenworth. I mean, there's, a dozen from Easton and so forth, and we still promote meeting the needs. My own son did half, at Leavenworth. We split him with Leavenworth. Mm-hmm. And the neighboring school districts in Lansing tend to work together. When one school's offering a program that the other one isn't, we work together. ROTC is a great example. I have a lot of kids that go to Leavenworth every morning Leavenworth gets credit for that, that
Part of the day,
time.
yeah.
And then they come over here. The thing about the study, and you can propose an agenda item and see if you get a vote anytime you want and see how the board votes on that. But that has been studied. And we still use the instruments that were developed years ago about attendance, behaviors, and grades. And when we have an empty seat, we try to fill them,
But
with
we've
good
increased
kids.
the number of supposedly.
We've increased them and we balance that. If you look at the previous years, when our in-district is up, our out-of-district is low. And when our in-district comes in low, our out-of-district goes up. And that's how we keep paying those 12 additional teachers. Because you get rid of all the out-of-district right now, if that's something somebody wanted to do.
I'm not proposing that. I am proposing that we think
It's 12
seriously about
It's 12
capping it.
teachers right off the top. And so with all due respect, you probably need a lot more information about it because there's a lot of
I think that
stuff.
a lot of people would like to know why we're doing what we're
Yeah.
doing.
So
Because it
you,
looks like we're treating kids like ATMs. If
Yeah.
we need money, we just go grab some more kids.
well, the way
And
the
that's not the
process
appropriate.
works is you formulate an agenda item and either get 2 other board members to recommend it with you or get the board president to recommend that to be an agenda item, and then we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Claudia, I think, I mean, some of the words that you're using are a little bit aggressive words. First of all, I don't think we're actively recruiting students to come to our district.
Well, we don't have to. When you've got a brand-new facility, they are going to come in
Okay,
waves.
but the words that you're choosing to use imply a very actionable item. And we are not actively recruiting students. We did not build a building with capacity to recruit students.
I did not say that.
I think,
What I'm saying is that we are using that additional space as a valid, well, an
it
excuse.
absolutely is a valid, viable, financially economic model to keep our students getting 6 new classes every year. For the last 9 years that I've been on the school board, that has been the history in this district. I think that's a very positive thing. That doesn't happen without money. And it doesn't happen without students in a classroom.
And the money issue comes back to who's paying for what. And you said earlier that 32% is covered by us locally.
No.
The state's,
Our general fund locally produces about 16%. All the money, most of the money, the majority of it is in the form of state aid. We get the same amount of money for an out-of-district kid that we do an in-district kid. And the analogy I use is that it's state aid, it's based on corporate taxes and income taxes and those kinds of things. There are people in Johnson County that pay more taxes toward a Lansing student's education than you and I. And because this whole system is different. Before '93, you were right on. The majority of it was generated locally. Our mill rate at one time was in the 80s. And today it's in the low 50s.
Randy, what's our neighboring district's mill rates?
I don't know them off the top of my head, but they're still higher than us, even with our new bond issue, when you take the total mill rate. But everybody pays 20 mil on their residential property. That's across the board. Everybody does. The rest of it is state aid. And so the out-of-district, if we have an empty seat and it can help us enhance our curriculum with a student that we look at their behaviors and attendance. Now, we do have hardships, and I've always shared those with the board. When we had a rape victim still in school with the perpetrators, we took that kid, that kind of thing. But the majority of them, as Stuart Lyons said 10 years ago, we're cherry picking. And I'm a business person, and I run this like a business in the finance area. When I negotiate in April, May, and we want to keep all of these teachers, and I see the kindergarten class coming in low, I'm going to be more open, because I'm going to have more open seats, number one. But I'm going to be more open to taking those kids that we cherry pick so that we can maintain. And I'm still very proud that when everybody else was ripping teachers and making cuts to curriculum and programs, we were adding teachers. And good board members made that happen. And you're a part of that.
I
mean,
don't
that's-
think that we are.
I'm not suggesting that we create a financial disaster for ourselves, not at all. What I am suggesting is that it's healthy districts, like healthy people, have boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think that if we're not extremely careful, well, it's just common sense. We've got a beautiful new building. I think people are going to flood in like crazy.
They will. Now, that hasn't happened yet because the building's not finished yet.
Yeah.
But that could happen. But you know,
You said you have 100 applications waiting.
Claudia,
I have
the
that we
the
turned down.
distinction here, okay, so we get 300 applicants for the high school. So what? We have a standard that we make a decision by. We know what our enrollment is. If we've got 82 open spaces, we get 82 students. 212 go home. They didn't get picked. We can pick the top 1 and 4 in that situation. It's a good situation. We didn't recruit them. I don't feel bad about that a bit. That's paying the bills.
Well, you wouldn't want the reverse,
I think we need to stabilize it.
but the reverse would be everybody leaving our district to go to someplace else.
Well, that's what's happening to some of the schools around here. They're losing kids to us.
And
well,
that's,
actually, I think I shared this data with you. Baser, Linwood went up 60 kids. Tongi went up, I forget how many, but another number. And we stayed flat this year. And, you know, so I didn't get the growth I was expecting. I took on 50 more out-of-district kids that met the criteria.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And to do anything different, I gotta say this in public, to do anything different, you'll drive this district into the ground. The quality that you've seen, you will see that go down. And we can look at all kinds of data and so forth, but when we don't have the funds to support that new curriculum, when we don't have the funds to add teachers while everybody else is cutting,
But you missed my basic point, which was arrive at a cap and do exactly what you said. If we're down,
but we
take on
can't,
some more.
we can't cap anything in
Claudia,
this
I think
business.
there's a cap now. It all depends on how you
look at
define
it.
it.
Yeah.
If we have a certain desk space in our district and our enrollment is below that, we fill up to our desk space.
So in a sense, that's a
There's
cap.
nothing wrong with that. We've capped our desk space and we're taking the margin as out of district. If our enrollment goes up, our out of district goes down because we have capped our desk space. We've already done that. It just depends on how you define it. If you're asking me to say we only want 100 out of districts, no. 120, no. Because I don't know what our enrollment's going to do.
Nor does anybody, no other district knows that either.
Right.
We've always maintained a good balance, though, I think. Like this year, you're seeing a larger number, and I know that bothers you,
Yes, it does.
but that's to balance that we didn't get the anticipated growth this year that we thought we would get. But we still gave generous raises, and we still added things. And so to make that work budgetarily, we do this little balancing act. And I'll show you, I'll send it to all of you. But we'll take the years and we'll show you the in-district and the out-of-district, and you can see the direct correlation. I mean, it's one of the best correlations that we have to show you, where when in-district was up, out-of-district was low. And when in-district went low or flat, out-of-district went up. And we can show that to you, and it's as clear as a picture.
I'm not in favor of anything that's going to hurt kids.
Right.
In other words, I'm not saying let's boot a bunch of kids out. I'm not saying that, nor do I want to see teachers hurt.
Yeah.
But I think we've got, this is a subjective personal opinion.
Yeah.
It looks from the outside, if you don't have all this other information, it looks from the outside like we're using kids to
Well,
inflate our budget.
And one of the things, we put this on the agenda every month, and the reason for that, we've already done the out-of-districts, and by policy, unless there's an exception, we bring that to the board, that case. But we put that on there because we've always committed to kids who move out of the district, that move nearby but still want to attend.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons those numbers go up, I bet if somebody found a great house that's out of our district, They bought the house, they moved away. We have to put them on here and get board approval for that. So you see out-of-district students every month, but that might represent one additional kid.
But the totals have been steadily creeping up.
Yeah. Well, through the years.
Send me your stuff.
Yeah, I'll send you a good picture of it, and it's good dialogue. It's good conversation.
I know that there's a lot of people that are concerned about that, because we've always had in the past, we've always had very strong boundaries, and we did cooperate with other districts, but having sat through a training session at the last convention with Leavenworth's superintendent, I'm starting to think maybe we are doing some, unintended consequences. Something looks really good here, and then you think about what it might be doing.
He probably
somewhere else.
failed to tell you, he has about 150 of our kids.
Oh, yeah, I don't doubt
so,
that.
you
And that's
know.
why I'm saying, those first 100 and whatever, that doesn't bother me at all, but the rest of it does.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll shut up now.
I move
Oh.
that we adjourn.
Oh, wait, we gotta pass it.
We're done.
Not yet. Finish 8.5, the out-of-district students. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 8.6, I move that we approve the 2014-2015 substitute teacher list as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And 8.7, I move that we approve the 2014-2015 early graduation request as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Move that we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.